Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Welcome to another episode of Grow Your Business. I'm your host today, Natasha Hawkers, and today we're going to be talking about building a world-class business through rewards and recognition. I'm Natasha Hawkers and I am an employee expert. I help small business create exceptional business performance through their people. Think employment contracts, policies, recruitment, and terminations. I'm great at helping business owners who have limited time and money hire great people and, just as importantly, fire their non-performers. I've been working in this field consistently for 23 years, both nationally and internationally, including 12 years at Accenture, one of the top global management consulting firms. I'm routinely featured in the Sydney Morning Herald and Startup Smart and the Huffington Post, and I'm a regular writer for Flying Solo and Her Business. I've been nominated for Telstra Businesswoman of the Year and Business of the Year, and in my career to date, I have hired, managed, and fired over 15,000 employees. I'm also an author, and I wrote a book called From Hire to Fire and Everything in Between. Now, working in business is extremely tough. It's one of the toughest things you will ever do. And I am passionate about helping small business owners take away their employee headaches and help them grow their businesses faster than ever before through their employees. Now, today we're going to be talking about how you can reward and recognize your team. And this is hugely important if you want to grow your business quickly and you want to scale. But I want to give you as much value as possible today. So let's get started and get into the detail. So the first thing I wanted to talk to you about today was our employee asset model. So what is really special about this model is it is the belief in the center of the employee asset model. This is belief and confidence in your number one asset, your team. So much so that a bank would be prepared to lend you money on the value of your number one employee asset, your team. You then need, so what does that mean? You then need a couple of other critical parts of this model. The first one is client retention. Client retention and client growth is where your clients never ever want to leave you. It's a really important thing. The second one is innovation, where your team innovates. Keith Cunningham said Keith Cunningham, when he talked about innovation, he said that business was an intellectual sport. But I would actually argue that innovation is even more important in today where we're rapidly changing, business is changing all the time. And innovation is a really important aspect of this model. The last one here is profit. Profit is really important if you want to get a great exit price, but also this is the reward for all your hard work and all the effort that you've put into your business. So how do you actually get client retention, innovation, and profit? Well, we have a couple of other key ingredients, and they are superstar employees. These are employees that would work for you because they are so passionate about your product, you and your business, that they would potentially work for you for free. That's where you get your volunteer behaviours. Volunteer behaviours is where they work and they're happy to work for you for absolutely nothing, that they take that volunteer mentality into the workplace. And the last one here is entrepreneurial thinking. Entrepreneurial thinking is a really important one because often we don't allow our people the time to actually create. And in this day and age where things are changing so rapidly, you need to give your team the opportunity to see what might be coming down the track, to be ahead of the curve, but also to identify potential risks that are going to take you out. So under the entrepreneurial thinking, we have opportunity to create. We have a creative space where they're actually given the opportunity to think and create and dream. And then we've got a safety environment. And in the safety environment, this is where it's okay to fail and fail a lot, because out of innovation or necessity comes innovation. And I just want to pop back to volunteer behaviours and superstars to talk about these 3 points. Under volunteer behaviours, in order to have people that think that importantly or that value you and your business that much, you need to build a highly engaged workforce. You need to lead them. People want authentic leaders. And the last one here is you need to reward them. Now, reward is what we're going to be talking about today in some detail. And just back on superstar employees, you need to attract the best that you can actually afford. You need to grow these individuals so that they grow and get more skills as they're working for you. And you need to work out how you're going to keep them. So this is the employee asset model. And this is what I want to encourage all business owners to grow in their business so that you will actually have a bank that will lend you money on that very important employee asset. And what I suppose frustrates me is so often we talk about employees are our greatest asset. And I often say, yes, they're your greatest asset, but they're also potentially your greatest liability. But what I hear business owners doing is they say, our employees are our greatest asset. But a lot of that is lip service. So I'd encourage you to think about your employee asset model and whether a bank would actually lend you money based on that. So what we actually did was we developed an employee lifecycle to help business owners understand all the facets of having an employee in your business. So let's go through this because it's really important. Step number one is assess. This is where you actually need to understand what your legal obligations are around your employees. So are you compliant with the relevant legislation? Step two is hire. Do you know how to find the best? Do you know how to hire the best? Do you have a world-class recruitment process? And I think particularly important in this area at the moment is, do you know where your sourcing strategy is? Do you know where the best place to find your ideal candidates are? Step three is manage. How do you reward your top performers? How do you manage non-performers? And so that is where we're going to be spending most of our time today. In manage. Policy. Do you have the required policies, both from a legal perspective, but also from a best practice perspective? Policies are your safety net. They set the standards for how you want people to conduct themselves in your workplace. And then we've got well-being. Under well-being, this is, do you have all the workplace health and safety policies that you need? In other countries, it's often referred to as occupational health and safety. We've got training. Training is where you have the ability to upskill the employees you have in your business, but also reduce your personal liability around employee behaviour. So we often encourage our clients to conduct appropriate workplace behaviour training, where you talk to people about what's appropriate in the workplace and what isn't. Then we've got engagement. I love engagement. Engagement is the measure of discretionary effort. In other words, would people work for you without being paid? And highly engaged workforces are much more successful than either non-engaged or discouraged workforces. The last one here is number 8, which is measure. The reason why I find this step extremely important is for a long time HR has been known as soft and fluffy, but I can guarantee you there's nothing soft and fluffy about letting 70 people go. But what we haven't done particularly well as an industry is actually put the hard numbers around what employees cost. And we have a whole lot of great formulae that work in that area to give you a sense of what those costs are, and I'm going to go through some of those today. And the last one here is step 9, exit. This is how do you exit people successfully from your business if they're a high-performing resignation, or just as importantly, if they're a non-performing and they've been managed out of the business. So that's your employee life cycle. People will stay in your business for a wide variety of times, but typically people move through it. What I often say to people is the green side is very much your compliance side, but this is where all the lift and the best practice comes from. So this is what we need to get better at as a business owner to really see that lift in our results. So what is the definition of reward and recognition? This is what we're going to be spending our time on today. So I really want everyone to have a common level of understanding. Essentially, communication and actions between management and employees, which actually rewards them for reaching specific goals or producing high quality results. Recognizing employees for this level of service is meant to encourage repeat behaviors. In other words, you want them to do it again through reinforcing the behavior that you would like to see repeated. Now, I would like you to cast your mind back to when you actually got a behavior or got some feedback that meant your boss was really happy with what you did. What concerns me is that most business owners don't understand reward and recognition. They don't have a reward and recognition strategy. And worse, their employees don't know what behaviors they need to keep doing in order to get the reward and the actual recognition from business owners. So it's really important that we learn what this is. So three mistakes I see lots of business owners doing. The big one is that one size fits all. And what I mean by this is most people think that cash is king, that everybody is driven by wanting to just get the biggest pay packet they can. In actual fact, there was a study done in the US which said that in a highly engaged workforce, that 63% of employees would not resign if they won $10 million in the lottery. So what that tells us is that people aren't just driven by cash. Actually, work provides other benefits to our employees beyond the pay packet at the end of the week. So I think that's really important to note. But the other thing is that one size does not fit all, in the sense that what inspires or rewards a single mum with 3 kids who's financially responsible for her children versus a young couple who are desperately trying to buy their own house is very, very different. And the other thing here is we actually don't ask our employees what they want. And it can be as simple as actually sending out something like SurveyMonkey to find out what would keep them in the business for another 5 years, what would be particularly attractive to them. And you might do that either in a SurveyMonkey style, or you might have a one-on-one session, or you might even ask your executive team. But if we don't ask, we're never going to find out what's particularly important to our employees. And the last part here is we actually don't review it. So even if we do have a reward and recognition policy, we're not actually testing and measuring that to work out, is that still what our workforce desires in terms of reward for all the hard work and the effort that they put in? So I wanted to bust some myths. And the first one I wanted to bust is that everybody wants cash. And this is just not the case. In actual fact, what's been found, and there's a survey done every year, is that cash actually this last year dropped from number 4th in a wish list of what they wanted in a role to actually number 7. That's a big drop, and I think that's counterintuitive to what most people actually think employees are looking for. And so salary isn't where it's at, and you can guess what is number 1 because it's up there in the first point: work-life balance. People want work-life balance, and it's not just mums who want to work part-time. This is actually men, and men are wanting more flexibility to attend the kids' soccer game than ever before. And I think one thing that I would encourage you to do is that if you were to put an ad out and effectively advertise exactly the same 2 jobs, and in one job you just had...
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.